if you notice, I've been talking a lot about risk, and a lot of my videos are about risk. There's a full playlist on risk and risk stories. Let us talk of three different parts of risk. One is your capacity to take risk, one is your risk tolerance, and third is the need to take risk. What is your risk capacity? Risk capacity means how much risk happens in your portfolio and how you can take it. For example, a 28-year-old trying to build a portfolio for his retirement obviously has high risk taking ability, right risk taking capacity. Right, he can take infinite risk because he got a long way, got at least 30 years to go, and so he does not have to worry about fluctuation on a day-to-day basis. Whereas somebody who is say 55, 57 obviously has lesser capacity to take risk, because after retirement there is going to be no income, so obviously less. But a person who is even more old has another risk capacity, because he may not be able to comprehend what he is doing, so obviously the capacity to take risk goes down. This is what we talk capacity to take risk. Second is the risk tolerance. How do you feel when your portfolio fluctuates? Do you get up at 3 a.m. and worry that you've got too much equity in your portfolio, or you worry that you don't have enough equity in your portfolio, you have too much in debt and the yields and debt funds are falling, right? You are getting pathetic returns on your debt funds. So does that worry you? Which means you're worried about your risk tolerance, and if the market falls you will panic, or if the market rises you will have a FOMO effect, right? So those are the things which decide on your risk tolerance. And if your risk tolerance is low, chances are you will go and fiddle with your portfolio exactly at the wrong time. Right, so the market is at 50,000, you will be comfortable. When the market goes to 45,000, you actually don't have a problem, but because your risk tolerance is low, you will say, oh God, 10% has fallen, now let me sell, and things like that. So that is your risk tolerance. The third is the need to take risk. If you have reached a stage in life, let's say you're 57, 58 years of age, you have 20 crores with you, 25 crores. Your annual requirement for expenses is 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. So next 30 years, you will need 3 crores. You need 3 crores, you have 20 crores. The need to take risk has completely vanished. There is absolutely no need for you to take risk. You can create a very simple portfolio with this amount, and rest assured that you and your spouse can live on that for the rest of your life. So the extra 17 crores that you have is a completely unnecessary asset. Why would you worry about it on a daily basis? Should I put it in debt? Should I put it in gold? Should I put it in equity? No, there are better things to do in life. Go on a hike, go on a trek, go on a walk, go and play badminton, right? Those are the things you can do. The need to take risk has gone away. So only when risk tolerance, risk capacity and need to take risk converge and they come to a point, that decides on how much of risk you need to take, how much of risk you should take in your portfolio. That is the most important thing about risk. Now we can always do how would you look at the risk in your portfolio? What all would you do? First of all, when you realize that you can sleep peacefully at night, you've got the asset allocation right. You don't have to worry then about the equity to bond ratio on a daily basis. And if you have a very big corpus, you don't even have to worry about asset allocation, because it doesn't really matter. If you like the case where a person who has 20 crores and requires only 3 crores, doesn't matter how much of it is in equity, how much of it is in debt. As long as he has 3 crores in debt, he is protected for the rest of his life. The other 17 crores can be in debt, equity, liquid fund, doesn't really matter at all. So if you've got the mix right, then you don't have to worry. But however, if you've got a tight budget, if your requirement is 3 crores and you have 3 crores, then you have to worry about asset allocation, because either your risk tolerance will give way, or the need to take risk will suddenly emerge and become bigger because you've lost some money in some equity. That will create panic, and that will impact your risk capacity also. So be careful about that. So if you don't have any particular asset allocation in mind, you can go and find out what you should do as per your age. There are a lot of risk questionnaires and asset allocation models which you can use, or you can sit with your IFA, provided he is matured enough and understands this, and do your asset allocation. But please be careful. I've done a lot of videos on risk. Please read all that and then come to a conclusion, right? Other question that you will ask your portfolio is, do you have enough money to meet your day-to-day expenses if the markets were to remain bad for say 3 years or 4 years? These days that doesn't happen, because some of the lessons we have learned from 2008-9 and even in March 2020 is there is a lot of people who do algo trading or algo investing. So they will come into the market at particular fall. So say 50,000 was the Sensex high that it reached. At 47,000, a lot of triggers would happen, a lot of buyers would come in, they'll take it to 48. At 46, more people will come, 45 more people will come. So there is so much of frenzied automated buying and index based buying that I don't see markets remaining bad for a long period of time. However, being prepared for 2-3 years, having enough money in debt and liquid, I would even say 5 to 7 years, that would be fantastic. It would give you tremendous ability to sleep. In fact, I would say keep it in different places. If you keep all your equity portfolio in say moneycontrol.com, keep all your debt in portfolio in valueresearchonline.com. The advantages, you will look at them separately. So some things which you trade, keep it in morningstar.com, that's or morningstar.in, right? So keep your portfolio in separate places so that you don't react. You don't react in your bond market based on what is happening in your equity market, right? That's how you should have. So as long as you have enough money to tide over emergency situations, or when the market falls for 2-3 years, 5 years, 7 years, that will again give you comfort. You don't have to worry. Within your equity holdings, check out whether you are taking too much risk, because as you get older, you want to have more in predictable large cap stocks and not so much in small cap stocks. Small cap stocks are a complete whipsaw, right? Look at the handle of the whip and look at the impact of the whip. That's what happens to your small cap and mid cap portfolio. So if you have too much of small cap and mid cap portfolio and that is not what the risk that you think you should be taking, go and check again all risk capacity, risk profile and the need to take risk. Check on that, and based on that reallocate your portfolio towards more towards large cap and less towards small cap and mid cap. Also remember that this is a new thing that I have been talking about. Worry about whether all your money is in one fund house or 2 fund houses. Don't do that. I mean, I would even spread my ultra short bond fund to 2-3 fund houses, because you never know. I never expected one fund house to completely screw up my liquidity for a long period of time. 1 year is a long period of time and we have not got the money. So better have your ultra short bond fund also in 3 fund houses. I would never have said this prior to April 2020. Is your bond fund really liquid? Once in a while you need to know that, or you shift to floating rate fund and liquid fund, some money in bank FD. Yes, you will have to pay taxes, very inefficient, but still better than getting stuck in one fund house which has some problem, some crisis somewhere and you can't get your money. Also check out all the costs, because you have liquid Bs, ETFs which are extremely low cost. You can keep money in that and make sure that you pay taxes after 3 years, so 3-4 years, whatever that you have to take. See whether you're tax efficient, because your tax inefficiency also eats into your portfolio and hurts. Far more important, read books on behavioral finance, watch videos like this. There's a lot of stuff available online. Watch all that, read a lot. There are excellent websites like morningstar.in or morningstar.com. Go and read about behavioral finance, what you do, and see how you can use behavioral finance to your advantage. Like starting an SIP, and with a step up SIP is a very sensible thing to do, because it means every year without being asked your bump up of your SIP happens. So do those things, read a lot. And then check out when your portfolio is whether it is doing well. Keep monitoring it and sit down with even if you are a DIY, go to an advisor and say, I want to sit and discuss my portfolio, talk about it, pay a fee He's not going to charge you a huge amount of money, and you know how much you're being charged. You're writing out a check. So if he says 5,000 an hour or 3,000 an hour, pay him that, get your portfolio reviewed, and if he charges a separate fee for it, believe me, it is still worth it, because you're anyway doing it yourself. You could get biased. So check out for all that and you will be on your way. Thank you.